everyone, and welcome back to the Take Your Mark podcast. I'm your host, Emmy.
And I'm Ruchi.
And welcome to the grand finale of season 1, episode
Crazy.
10.
Welcome to episode 10, everybody. This is insane. What a journey.
Yeah. It is like, it's kind of crazy because 10 episodes on the one hand, like, doesn't feel like that much. Like, it's only 10, but also I feel like we started this
In December.
It's been a solid 5 months now.
Yeah.
Look at us, and like the improvement from that first episode. Crazy.
Well, okay, that first episode was a fluke in general.
I mean, to be fair, yeah. So like, did we ever say that like where we recorded that? I think we did in the episode. Yeah.
No, I said it in like on this like on the Instagram story.
Yeah.
I put the story of it, but I don't know if everyone knows. So if you want to briefly tell everybody where we filmed that first episode.
So we recorded that episode in a public library, and we thought Ruchi was great. She rented a room. The problem is the room, like the walls didn't go all the way up. So it wasn't really a room.
It was not a closed room. Like there was no roof. It was just like a facade of a room.
Exactly.
It was like a fake room.
Yeah, so like we could still hear people outside of the room, and if we talked too loud, they could still hear us.
Yeah.
And we were literally just recording, like, I think we just used my phone to record it, so like no mics, no separate audio. You can tell that we're talking like really quietly.
Yeah, it was like a whisper. It was like ASMR. Like,
yeah.
Like, hey everybody.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Take Your Mark podcast. Dude, hey, hiatus idea. ASMR channel.
We could do that. Speaking of hiatus, though, let's inform the people.
Yes. So, as we mentioned, this is the end of season 1. This is not the end of Take Your Mark pod. But the next couple of months are going to be a little crazy for both of us. So we will be taking a break before season 2. It's a little bit of a longer break than we would like.
Oh,
but just
sure.
like realistically, it's going to be about, I think we said like 3 months.
Yeah, 3 to 4 months. We'll probably be back in August,
I think, is our plan.
Yeah. So little unfortunate, but you will probably still see content from us throughout the hiatus. We're not just leaving you high and dry, but the podcast won't be like continuing until August for season 2.
Yeah. We've got plans. We're going to go back, get some blooper reels out because
yes, I will be on that.
And then our plan for after we record this is to have a good planning session to come up with some ideas of like some shorter form content we can put out on Instagram, or maybe just some like general YouTube videos that aren't a podcast setup like this.
Yeah.
Or even if they're similar setup but not like sitting down for a full hour-long episode kind of thing. And also in this time we mentioned there's a lot going on. I'm moving like out of state.
Hold on. First of all, you're graduating.
That's true. Okay.
Which
yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You are graduating. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
You've done it.
I finished.
You passed, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I finished.
So you are officially graduating.
To be fair, I don't know my final grades yet, but I actually finished my degree last semester. So it's like I'm graduating.
So you are graduating.
Yes.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
You're graduating. So there's that. That's one key aspect. Then you're moving, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And then in the middle of that, both of us have trips planned out.
Yeah. We're also both going to be traveling. So it's like logistically, we're not able to like sit down and do this every 2 weeks and like take the time to edit a whole thing. So
yeah. And on top of that, because you're moving, I want to inform the people, this will probably be the last time, at least for a bit, that you will see this setup.
Yeah.
At least, not even for a bit. I think maybe potentially forever. I mean, it really just depends. But
yeah,
for the foreseeable future, you will not be seeing this setup.
Yeah.
Really relish it while you can.
Yeah.
Because it will
Look
not
at this poster,
be here.
guys.
Yeah, it will not. I mean, the poster will still be here.
Yeah.
But it's just we won't be recording in the same room. So things will be looking quite different when we come back in August for sure. So lots of things happening, all exciting, all good things. And this is not the last you'll see of us. We'll be back and we'll be kind of interacting with you guys in potentially different ways. Not this regular podcast kind of setup.
I recorded a day in the life, I think like 2 months ago now, that will finally be published at some point. Now that I will have time to like actually edit it.
Yeah. So exciting stuff.
Yeah. I had my last final on Thursday.
There you go.
So I'm 100% done. It's kind of weird.
Officially done.
It's technically still finals week, but I'm done. So it's like, I don't know. It's a weird transition where the actual graduation stuff hasn't happened yet, but I'm done.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to like get my life together again. I'm deep cleaning my apartment, clearing stuff out. I'm excited. I'm making a trip to a recycling center at some point this week to take all of my recycling over. So
I need to do the same thing.
You want to come with me?
Sure.
Okay.
So that's what's happening in our lives.
Yeah. I guess I kind of said how my week was. How was your week?
So my week, it was eventful. This week was actually kind of eventful. So a couple things. First of all, hit 5 out of 5 this week with swimming. So big win for me. Somehow made it to both Tuesday and Thursday morning after Monday and Wednesday evening. So I'll take it.
God, I don't know how you do that. Like
I don't either, man. Like I wish I had the secret for you. I don't. And then on top of that, we had a work event on Thursday. We had trivia, which I think I've already told you this, but I'll tell the people, all of you guys out there. We won trivia. It was a complete fluke. It was only music trivia.
You strategized though.
Yeah. Yeah, we used our resources. There was a lot of older folks and all of the music was from the 60s to the 90s, which none of us really know rock or like music from that time period. Not that much anyway, where like we could like be super good at trivia. So we did win. So we take it. We got 2 free drink coupons. So I got 2 beers and we got a free food coupon and they had a barbecue truck. So I got mac and cheese and fries.
Oh my God, that sounds so good.
Yeah. And it was all free. I didn't spend anything.
Oh, can't relate.
So yeah, that was my week. Your week has been pretty eventful too, right? What's been happening with you?
Yeah, so last day of class was on Tuesday. And then my last like finals, I had a project. Well, this week I had like 2 finals and then like 2 projects. And my last thing was due on Thursday. So by Thursday at 1 p.m., I was fully done with my degree. I don't think it's set in yet. Like I said earlier with how like finals isn't over and graduation hasn't happened yet, but I'm done. Like it hasn't fully set in. Like the post-grad scaries have not hit me yet. It doesn't really feel real. It's just kind of like, oh, it's the end of the semester. Yesterday 2 days ago, I did have my first little graduation ceremony thing where I went up and like walked. It wasn't fully real because we weren't wearing the cap and gown or anything.
Oh, okay.
So you just kind of like, you went up and they gave you a little like drawstring bag with a water bottle in it. It's a nice water bottle though, I will say. Or it's like a little like tumbler kind of thing and it has the logo on it.
Wow, that's actually nicer than I thought they would.
And some stickers. We were going through our sticker collections before we started recording.
We do love stickers. We have a shared love for stickers.
You should get Take Your Mark stickers. Merch?
Actually though, that's actually not a bad idea for marketing purposes. We start wearing around our own podcast merch and we get more listeners that way.
Exactly. Thoughts for season 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I had that free dinner there actually. So I did get 1 free dinner this week.
Huge.
Yeah. So next week though, I mean like my family's coming into town in like 2 days. And then Thursday to Sunday is just
chaos.
Back to back.
Yeah.
I think I have 6 graduation ceremonies for various things next week. I'm also running the 5K on Saturday. So yeah, it'll be good. It'll be fun.
Like I said, chaos.
Exhausting. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But it'll be a lot of fun, just tiring. Yeah, for sure. So let's go into the topic, shall we?
Well, we got to do snooze first, man.
Oh crap. Yeah, snooze. I forgot.
Yeah.
Guys, we're back with snooze this week.
We said it would be a recurring segment.
So it's going to be a recurring segment.
For the last 2 episodes.
And then season 2.
Yeah.
Come on.
And
We'll
then
keep it going.
We'll be back.
And we got 3 months of news to pull from.
Exactly.
Sports news with Emme and Ruchi.
The snooze.
What is your
Okay.
sports news that you've brought?
So my news for this week, and I want to say we won't always each have a piece of news. I feel like sometimes there's just going to be one. But this week we did because I don't know if it was this week. I don't know the exact date. The Boston Marathon happened recently. Mm-hmm. And my new favorite person is Des Linden. Now, let me tell you about her. So, Des Linden first ran the Boston Marathon in 2007. And I think that was her first, it can't have been her first marathon because, like, you have to qualify for it, but it was her first, like, elite race or something, I think. And then, and she did really well. I think she might have gotten, like, second or fourth or something. She did.
Wow.
That could be a lie. Okay. I read a story about this. I'm getting the dates confused. She did really well. And so after that, she was like, I'm going to run the Boston Marathon every year. She's also like an Olympic runner now. But she wanted to win the Boston Marathon was her goal. 2017, so 10 years later, she was really close. And I think she ended up coming in fourth and got really discouraged. And then also she started having a lot of issues with her health that year. She had hyperthyroidism, which ended up impacting, or maybe hypothyroidism, issue with her thyroid. I will leave it at that. It got to the point where like she couldn't walk up the stairs, like never mind run a marathon.
Yeah.
And she finally like went to go see a doctor, got on medication, started getting better. But I think as of like 5 months before the marathon, she was not running that like frequently and stuff. And then so 2018 Boston Marathon comes around. You're getting the whole story. Terrible conditions. It's like cold and rainy this year. I think a lot of people didn't finish because it was like not ideal conditions.
Wow. Okay.
And she wins the marathon that year. And she was the first American to win the Boston Marathon since 1985. So it was like 33 years since an American had won the Boston Marathon after she had like had this really crushing defeat and like had a lot of health issues. She won the Boston Marathon. And this past year she ran it. She's been running it every year since then too. And 2025 she announced was like she's retiring from I think like road races.
Wow.
And like when she finished, she got 17th, so still did absolutely amazing.
Yeah, no, that's really good.
And like a lot of like when she crossed the finish line, like other American runners were like bowing down to her and stuff like that. So it was just it was just a very cool thing to see, and like we love women in sports.
Oh, of course. We literally are women in sports.
I know.
So.
That's what I'm saying. She was I hadn't heard that story before, and then like I've been getting Boston Marathon content, and I saw that story, and I was like, that is so impressive.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I'm happy for her.
I know, that's incredible.
Very happy for her.
Yeah.
Well, my news is swimming related because one of the only sports I follow. But recently, or I think it's this weekend, is Masters Swimming Nationals, U.S. Masters Swimming Nationals. And I think it's out in Texas. And I don't have a specific story with Nationals, but I just would like to say and acknowledge that it's probably one of the most impressive things I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
There are events for people who are over 90, for people in their 80s and their 70s, all the way down to their 20s. But like, just seeing all these people kind of come together and swim and race. I saw a few stories that I can point out. One was there was this 91-year-old man who swam the 100 breast, and he did it in like 2 minutes, 20 seconds, which is really good for being 91. Actually insane and impressive.
If I'm still alive at that age, there's no way I'm going to have knees that are able to swim breaststroke.
Right. Yeah, literally. And then I saw two sisters who were in their 60s who got to finally like, compete with each other at nationals, and they did, I think, an IM event. I don't remember if it was the 200 or the 100. But then I also saw that I didn't realize, but there's the 1,000 for like people in their 70s.
Yeah.
And I saw one guy swam it in like 17 minutes. And I was just like, holy crap. Like, you're 17, you're swimming it in 17 minutes, like giving me a run for my money. Like, wow.
Yeah.
So not like a particular story in general, but just like praising and like bowing down to all these athletes who are like, who have continued the sport into their older ages and are managing to do impressive things and like hit insane times. So yeah, kudos to all of you guys. Obviously I can't shout out people, there's so many of them, but all of y'all are impressive, and I aspire to be you guys.
Maybe
you
one
guys
day
inspire me.
Maybe one day we'll meet at nationals again in our
Maybe.
60s. That'd be fun.
Well, I hope we meet
before then, yeah.
But it's not just like, see you when you're 60.
But hopefully we're still meeting when we're 60.
Now is it topic time?
I think so.
Okay. So last week we talked about burnout and kind of how we push through times with low motivation. So this week, we're kind of going to go further into that and talk more about building those kind of healthy habits and routines. Mm-hmm. So what routines do you currently have that you've built? I mean, specifically you're kind of now ending a routine and you're kind of moving into a new stage new era. And so like, what do you how are you dealing with that transition? Even like, what is your goal with building a new routine, that kind of thing for you? Because I know like I have a routine now, but you're kind of at the end of yours or done with yours. Yeah.
I feel like
your routine is kind of,
we were saying before,
switching.
My routine fell apart, not in a bad way. It was just, life transition.
No,
I think that's part of why this is a good time to have this conversation, is because like you've kind of just settled into a new routine and are like getting really consistent with it. Then I think you've been succeeding. And then I mean, like
this week, 5 out of 5. I'm happy with that. So I did succeed this week.
And then like I've kind of just, like you said, ended a routine where I had figured out my routine for the semester, and now like that's kind of forcibly been ended, and I need to figure out kind of where I'm going from here. So I guess up until this past week, what my routine was, for the most part, I was running about 3 times a week with my friend. We usually do 2 shorter runs during the week, or like 1 shorter run during the week, 1 on the weekend. And that would be around like 4 miles or so, maybe 3 if we were like really short on time. And then we try and do a longer run on the weekends. That would be like 5 or 6 miles. Our short and long runs weren't like that different in distance yet. So I think actually after this, that part of my routine is still there-ish. It like took a bit of a break just with finals happening and stuff. And like my friend was writing a thesis. So that took a little bit of a break. But like we're going to try and do, I think, 5 miles later this afternoon and stuff. So that part of my routine is still kind of there. And then I was trying to swim twice a week. I would do like a longer swim on my own one day, and then I'd have a bit of a shorter social swim one other day. And then I had paddleboard yoga and kickboxing. And kickboxing was a pretty solid workout. Paddleboard yoga was more of like fun, stretching, chill fun. Yeah. So that was kind of my routine for, I'd say, the past 4-ish months, with varying consistency. Like I haven't swam the past 2 weeks just because like with finals, it was really hard to convince myself, even though my finals weren't that big of a deal, but it was really hard to convince myself to do anything other than get schoolwork done so that I could be all the way done.
Yeah.
But now, like, even though, I mean, I'm still in the area, I still have access to school buildings, but like summer hours are different for all of those. And like my friend who I run with, we're running the 5K on Saturday together, but then we're both kind of going like in and out of town all summer. She's traveling, I'm traveling
Right.
I'm moving.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know how often I'll have access to a pool. I don't know how often I'll be able to run with someone else. And like, those are kind of the two main things that I've been doing. So I need to figure out kind of where I'm at right now with my routine is I need to build a new schedule because I'm going to have a lot less structure in my time for the next 2 months. But there's enough that I need to get done where I can't just let that kind of slip away. So I think what I'm going to try and do is have a like pretty set schedule with working out that'll kind of serve as some sort of basis of structure just to like get me out of bed and start my day in the morning. Because if I don't get out of bed in the morning, it's really easy. I stayed in bed until 2 p.m. yesterday.
Wow.
Like, it's very easy. Granted, I'd been out the night before. I was tired and like, it's my first Saturday off, you know, like I didn't have to get out of bed for anything. But I think it's going to be really important that I don't let that become what I do every day.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of where I'm at right now is I don't have a routine, but I need to, like, I'm feeling motivated to build one.
Yeah. And the thing too is, I mean, I don't think this is an assumption, but you can correct me if I'm wrong, because the routine will have to look different between the 2 to 3 months where we take a break, that kind of 2 to 3 months to when we come back and you've moved and you've settled in.
100%. Yeah.
That routine is also going to have to shift again.
Yeah. So that's why this is kind of going to be a temporary routine. I'm really hoping I can get outside a lot more. Like, I mean, it's hard to run when it's really hot out, but like getting outside for runs, especially again, if I go in the morning when it's cooler and then I'm up for the day. I think the pools are open during the summer. Like
they are.
Sometimes it's just less frequent.
Yeah.
So
I think there's like spring cleaning or summer cleaning or something. But I think that's the end of the summer. So I think you should be fine.
So I can still like go do that at some point. But yeah, it's going to kind of be a temporary thing just to get me through like May, June. I've kind of written off July. July is just going to be a crazy month. That's going to be July is going to be the month of like give myself grace if I can't stick to a routine because there's so much other stuff happening. But May and June, I definitely want to try and be like pretty consistent and then kind of plan ahead for August for once I've moved. Like I found a climbing gym that I think is like close to where I'm going to end up living. So I want to look into, you know, do they offer classes? Do they have gym equipment? Like what would I get out of a membership there?
Yeah.
Is there a master's swimming group in the area? I was talking to my mom about like a graduation gift. And I said that I want to get a bike so that way I can get into biking as like another kind of easy get out the door, get some cardio, that kind of thing. So realistically, I don't think I'm going to be able to build a full routine until I'm like actually there and living life because it's so hard to know how that's actually going to look.
Yep.
But that is something I'd like to do this summer is kind of look ahead at like what my options will be and build a tentative like, okay, so this is happening on this night. I at least want to try going to that.
Yeah.
You know, or like after work, I'll go do this 2 days a week and like see how that goes kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I'm at right now, which is to say that I am nowhere, but I have plans.
That's important though. Yeah. Having plans is important.
Yeah. And we'll see how well it goes with implementing them. But I feel like I've gotten better at figuring out what is realistic.
Yeah.
So I'm tentatively hopeful.
You should be hopeful.
Yeah. So I've got a lot of transitions coming up and changes going on. And like we said, I think you've kind of settled into something a bit more stable and are like getting, you have taken that time to kind of figure out what you're doing. Where are you at now?
So I'd say I went through a similar, like what you were talking about. I had a similar kind of journey because, right, graduated in December and then kind of took 3 months off, honestly, but my 3 months off was 3 months off from everything. So I really wasn't working out at all. I was just trying to find my footing, kind of get my, like, meet all my coworkers, get settled into the job and the position and just the company in general. And then after about 2 months, I think I started speaking to you about getting into swimming, finding a pool or like a YMCA. I mean, the podcast heard the whole journey of me trying to find a pool. I mean, now finally there, and have been doing it now 2 months actually, which is kind of insane.
That's gone by quick.
Yeah. Wow. It's been 2 months because I started at the beginning of March.
Yeah,
I know.
The last 4 months have gone by really quick.
I was like, wow, it's been 2 months. But yeah, so it took me about, like, I started the job in January. From December to January, I was planning to take the time off anyway because I was like, might as well kind of reset. I don't remember if we talked about this, but I think we did when we were talking about like nerves, about taking the time to like get your brain off of it and fully reset and then come back to it. That's pretty much what I did, because I went home, hung out with my family, and then finally came back and was like, okay, I'm ready to start working. And then I started working, and then took some time because I wanted to get used to the work and to that routine, because I mean, college life and working life, the routines are very different.
Oh yeah.
Because college life, you just work at ungodly hours, but then like working life, you're working like that block of time.
Yeah, you're not doing like real work at 2 a.m.
Right, exactly. So it was much more getting used to that, and also commuting, things like that. And then I think after about 2 months, I was finally ready, which is something, I guess, my thing to you is make sure you're ready too, because, and again, give yourself that kind of grace period when you start working, of like, you don't have to get into a routine right away. You can take a month, 2 months even, to just kind of figure out your footing and figure out how is this going to work. So don't feel like you need to start the routine immediately. So I took the 2 months, and then I finally was like, okay, I want a routine. I was like, I need something. This is not what I want to do. And so yeah, then I found master swimming, and now here we are. I go now at least 3. 3 has been my like minimum, and then I mean 4 or 5 is preferable in my head. Like, I want to go 4 or 5 times, but yeah, I think I'm at a very like stable point now where I'm like, I can manage the 3 or 4 days swimming. And then on top of it too, as the weather is getting nicer, I'm hoping I can start, doing more exploration of like you said, biking as one form, or even just like going on walks. Because I didn't really do that either. I was very much just, I want to be in the pool. So just kind of expanding that too for days when I'm not swimming, or even getting a gym membership for days when I'm not swimming. So there is change still happening in my routine and things that I'm still trying to do, because the thing with swimming is like, you can only go so far. Like, you don't start to like, you don't build muscle like that. Like, at a certain point in swimming, you just hit kind of like a block. And you need weightlifting to at least like start to build that muscle. So for me, like, I'm trying to kind of integrate more things into the routine, but right now I'm at a very like stable spot in terms of like, my life is very stable. Like, work routine has been kind of settled, and just like, I'm getting my footing there. So I think that's made it easier for me to build that routine. Whereas for you, that whole
I'm starting
is
from ground zero.
You're starting exactly where I was in December, of like, what's happening. Like, yeah. So
it sounds like you kind of have a solid foundation. And as the weather's getting nicer, it's like, okay, now I can build on that farther now that I'm like settled with this bit.
Yeah.
And I will say, I think for me too, what's going to be a big thing is like you said, when you started your job, you had 2 months of like, I'm just kind of figuring this out. I'm like taking that time off. I will say, I think something that's going to be different for me is that I will be moving somewhere where I don't know as many people, if any. I mean, I know a couple people. I'm not super close with anyone though, you know? So, and it's a new place that I haven't really explored before. So I think that will be like, even if I don't have a routine right away, I do think I'm going to want to / need to push myself to at least try stuff and get out there just to like meet new people, explore this new place, like get more of a footing so that way I can then like know what I'm doing when I want to start building a routine fully. Because like I feel like if I go from kind of zero to I need a routine right now, like you were saying, like don't push myself to have a routine right now, but I think I am still going to need to push myself to have more of a transition in there to like just get the lay of the land, meet some people, make some friends, and then I can go from there into a routine.
Yeah, I guess my thought, like, obviously I know people here, so it's not as difficult. It wasn't as difficult in that aspect.
But it's still a big change.
But it was still like it's work itself is a lot when it comes to transitioning, because we're so used to that college kind of life. And with college life, it's so different. It's just like you kind of you can wake up at ungodly hours to do homework. You go to bed at ungodly hours. You kind of have literally the liberty to kind of do the work whenever you want. Whereas with actually like having a job, it's like you kind of have working hours and you have kind of boundaries, and you're like, I'm working the 8. Sorry, I'm not working more, or whatever. You kind of set boundaries and things. You have that. You can't, like, or not you can't, I guess you technically could, but no one gets up at 4 a.m. to do homework. You know what I mean? Like, it's just so different that, like, same thing with swimming of, like, you have to find out where you're going to even build that in your routine or working out in general, because, like, you can't just say, like how you were going to swim at, like, 10:45. Like, that's not realistic. Yeah. So you need to find, like, that kind of sweet spot of, like, when you want to swim and things like that. So it takes a lot of time to get adjusted to it. And that's why I don't feel pressured that, like, you need to have a routine right off the bat. I mean, granted, you can't, like, I'm not saying don't work out, period. Yeah. But, like, you can, you know, take the time to, like you said, like, meet other people, go to, like, social events and, like, meet people. And then on top of that, kind of figure out where things are, like, explore the city and just the area in general. Just don't feel the pressure to be like, oh, well, I just got here, time to get a gym membership. Yeah. You don't need to. You can take some time to kind of figure it out, figure out what life is even going to look like. Because, I mean, your transition is completely different than mine, too, just because you're moving. Yeah. I at least, technically I moved. On paper I moved, but
still same really. Area. What would you say, we've kind of gone over this a little bit, but, like, what are your goals with your routine right now? What are you working towards anything? Is it just be consistent, do the best you can? Like, what, or do you have a specific thing you're, like, reaching for?
Yeah, so right now it's very much consistency, but also I want to compete again. So I'm looking at it in also kind of that long-term lens of, like, I want to be fast, I want to compete, and, like, you know, Master Swimming Nationals is happening now. I would love to go to it
next year.
Yeah, like, I would love to go to it if I get the qualifying times or whatever. So, like, things like that. Like, there's still goals in terms of, like, I want to go to that, and I want to compete at meets, and with meets I can travel too. So it ends up becoming kind of that like, it serves two purposes for me, because I can get in travel, but then at the same time I'll be swimming. Yeah. So it's like a win-win. So I'm looking forward to that. I haven't started exploring doing meets yet, like, really gone in depth and been like, where are the meets at? Which one should I go to? Because I still kind of want to get back, like, better at practice, and, like, I'm starting to feel better, so that's good. I'm getting there. But then again, on top of that, like I said, I'm also trying to now kind of expand my routine to not just be swimming. Gotcha. I love swimming, but, like, you know, at a certain point, like I said, you kind of hit that block of, like, you need to go to the gym to start to see more of that progress even in the pool. So things like that I want to get, and I want to do more things too outside, because, I mean, I'm swimming inside, and, you know, gym will be inside. So I want to get outside too. So goal wise, I guess, to answer your actual question, goal wise, make Master Swimming Nationals. That would be cool. Keep up the consistency and kind of expand the routine. I don't have any, like, time goals or anything like that. No expectations there or anything. I just kind of want to ease back into that like spot where I was at in high school almost, like not to the same, I won't be at the same spot, but I'm getting there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm trying to like ease back into that. And yeah, I've been feeling really good in the water, so
Nice.
we're getting there. Certain things, certain times that we did when we were doing 50s off a push, I was pretty happy with, you know. So yeah, you kind of answered about your goals.
Yeah.
Do you have I guess
It's hard. I don't.
Do you have any like more this sounds bad.
Tangible goals.
Like,
no, like I get what you're
like
saying.
more tangible goals of like I want to do this specifically. Like I know you want to expand your routine with biking and maybe adding in other exercises in there, having a variety, and then also just in the summer like kind of setting a routine.
Yeah.
But is there anything like specifically that you're reaching for? Like, for example, even with your 5K this weekend, do you have like a goal time? Do you have like any goals in that regard?
Not really. I was talking to my friend about this. Like, I think part of it is with us, like, we're running that together. So I'm not trying to set a specific goal time for myself because I'd rather just do that race with her and have fun. I think something I'm kind of struggling with right now with setting goals is that, like, kind of like you said, I want to get more variety in my routine, but also I want to actually get better at the stuff that I'm doing. So like, it's hard. There's only so much time in the day, you know, if I have 6 different forms of exercise that I want to be doing, it's kind of hard to commit to any one of those too much without over exercising, which I also want to avoid because it's not sustainable, leads to burnout, you know, like,
and injuries.
Exactly. Yeah. Like it's not healthy in so many ways to over exercise like that.
Yeah.
I think something I would like to do at some point is a triathlon. So like I've said, if I get a little bit more into biking, and I mean, the place that I'm moving, when there isn't bad algae, you can swim in the lakes there.
Okay.
So I could try like open water swimming.
Very fun. I will say that as someone who's
I've never done it. So like, I definitely want to do.
Highly recommend it.
I don't think I'm going to get to a point anytime soon, at least, of doing an Ironman, but like a sprint triathlon, one of those shorter ones. It's honestly the swim part of it. You only swim like 500 or 1,000 yards. Like they're short.
I get pissed off because like I'd rather have it be a huge swim and like
and then
a little
really
run.
short. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I'd rather you take take off like 4 or 5 miles from the run and put that in the swim,
well,
please.
Usually
like
the swim, like the ones that I'm looking at, it's like you swim either 500 or 1,000. You run a 5K, and I think you bike like 8 or 10 miles or something. Like it's still a lot as a whole.
I did that because I did one.
Oh yeah, you did.
Yeah, I did that, and it was 700 meters swim, then it was 12-mile bike, and then it was 5K run.
Yeah,
but still, I hated the run.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, it was a trail run. That's the first thing, and second thing, it was a hilly trail run. So I was like, couldn't be asked to do this. And also I was in terrible shape. So there was like everything. And my bike was so bad that like I couldn't get up the hill. So like my bike literally
did you have
broke
to like walk up the hill?
My bike low-key broke like mid-race and I had to get it fixed. Like there was so many like factors that went into it that made it like so bad. Yeah. The swimming was the best part. I was like, it was an outdoor, well, we swam in a pool. So that was the only thing. But it was an outdoor pool and it was long course, I think. I think it was a long course pool and it was outdoors. But still, like, the swimming was fun. Yeah. And I was just like, yeah. And then I had to go to the biking. I was just like, ugh. And my bike was, like I said, it was bad. Yeah. So it just, but yeah, no, it's definitely like, if you want to get into triathlons, I'd recommend starting with that.
Yeah. No, like I don't want to overcommit to like
don't
really long one.
Yeah. I know that like you can do ones too, which are like, you can do it where it's like doubled. So like you have the mini one, which is like 700 meters and then like the 12-mile and then the 5K.
And
but you could also get one
that's 10K, something like that.
Yeah, 1,500 and then I think like 24-mile bike ride and then 10K instead of the 5K. Yeah. So you can get events like that. Those are I mean, I'd love to say I didn't like it, so I can't say those are good, but like
it's one thing like
not for me.
Yeah. Like I don't know if I'll like it, but I want to try it because like
Definitely try it.
I think it's one of those things that like you always kind of hear about, and you know, I have free will. I can swim, and I'm like pretty like consistent with running right now. It's really just the biking, and I feel like biking is
fun.
Yeah, exactly. So, and like that's another thing, you know, it'll get me outside, exploring the city a little bit. Like that'll, especially during the summer and fall, like that'll be something I can kind of get into. So I think that is one of my like long-term goals. I don't have any specific plans to do that right now. Just again, like I just don't know how life is going to look for the next 6 months. So I don't want to commit to like, I'm doing this race here. And then, you know, a month out, I'm like, oh shoot, I'm like not in a place to do that at all. But yeah, that's an eventual goal. I want to get back into climbing more consistently. I would love to climb outside. That is something that I think is going to take a little bit longer because like that's the less of something that I can go to a climbing gym solo.
Yeah.
It's going like outside and stuff. That's, to me at least, I know people who do it alone, but that's a much more like community event kind of thing for me. So I need to like find people to go do that with.
Yeah.
So, but it's hard because then I'm also like, oh, but I also want to start lifting and like I want to do more masters and you know, and I also just want to do more hiking. I would actually really like to try trail running and do more of that kind of thing. So there's a lot of different stuff. And I think that's part of what's hard about thinking about what routine to develop is that it's like you, as much as it'd be nice to do everything, it's not realistic. And I think if I try and set myself up to do everything, I'm just going to be disappointed by something because something's going to fall through, you know? So I think it's just going to have to be a little bit of like prioritizing for right now. And like that it can change in the future. Yeah. But you can't do everything, or like some stuff is going to have to be kind of relegated to like, all right, this is a cross training thing you do once a week or once every 2 weeks. 100%. And this is what you're focusing on more right now. So like I don't think that's something I'm going to be able to figure out, like you said, until I'm a little more settled and I can put together a more realistic routine. So right now it's kind of in like, my goals are in the ideation stage where I'm just like, this is everything I want to do.
And that's valid.
Yeah, and it's fun.
It happens, yeah.
And I can, like we said, for the summer, have kind of an intermediary routine of just stay active, you know?
Yeah. Just move your body for 30 minutes, 60 minutes a day.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
Even within, there's kind of the macro routine of like, what workouts are you doing? How often are you doing them? What are your goals for like distance, time, etc.? But then within that, like there kind of are micro routines that you have within those. And those can also be things that you want to try and build up. Like we're thinking more technique and, or even like form, weights that patterns. You use. Yeah, that kind of stuff. And like, do you have any habits or routines related to that? Are those things you're also looking to build, or are those kind of, you know, where are you at with that kind of thing?
So in terms of like micro routines with swim, I'm still trying kind of to not let my technique falter, because I start to notice things that like when you're cramped in a lane, I start to notice that like my arms kind of start to kind of cross in the middle or get close to it just because we're all cramped in one lane. Small little technique things where I'm like, if I keep doing it, I know that it's just going to immediately kind of revert to that, which is not good. Like you want to keep your arms kind of at like
shoulder width apart. Yeah.
Shoulder width. Exactly. And so that's something that I am starting to notice that I'm trying to get better with, is just making sure to pay attention to that and be conscious of it. But other things like kicks off the wall would be good. Like I'm trying to get better with keeping a consistent amount, or even just speeding them up. Yeah. Because sometimes I take like huge dolphin kicks and it's just like,
they're fun, but they're not actually efficient.
They're not productive in that way. They're just like, okay, we're out, you know? That, and then with freestyle, I breathe every 2, which I don't know if like it's become such a routine of mine that like breaking it is really hard. Like even when we do like if we do breath control, if we do breath control sets, I I really have to concentrate on the breathing part. And we had a set, I think it was like last week, we had a set that by last week I mean the week before this past one.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 weeks ago, we hit a set where it was like breathe every 5. And it was like it was hundreds, and it was first like 75 breathe every 5, 25 fast, and then it was like 50 breathe every 5, 50 fast. And but when we did them, people would go really, really fast on the breathe every 5. And I'm the kind of person who I can't do that. Like I'm so like I need to concentrate on the breathing part, because if I don't, I revert back to the every 2,
Mm-hmm.
like just like the flow of like take a breath, take a breath, take a breath.
Yeah.
So that's a routine that's been almost like it's so built that now it's like trying to break it is like crazy. It's so hard. What are things that you do? I guess swim is one thing, but do you have in other, because you run and you do other avenues more so compared to me. Are there any like other routines that like micro routines in that you notice? I know you spoke about breathing patterns.
Yeah, a little bit. So like with swim, I breathe every 3.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing, I'll just kind of go by sport, I guess. So like with swim, I breathe every 3. I'm definitely trying to get better with like kicks off the wall. Also like streamline. I've realized ever since I hurt my shoulder, my streamline is lopsided.
Really?
Yeah. So I can do it without it hurting, where like you're supposed to kind of squeeze your ears on either side. Or like right behind your ear. I've noticed that like if I don't think about it, my left arm is a little bit more bent.
Oh, like that.
Yeah, where it's like this is against it. This one is.
Your arms still match up though?
Well, not quite. They're a little off.
Oh,
because it's not. I'm exaggerating right now for visuals. It's not like this.
Okay.
You know,
not
but
like that.
I'm not like posing. But
okay,
it is something that I've kind of noticed, is that like if I'm not thinking about it, I don't have as tight of a streamline anymore, because like again, it doesn't hurt to do it, but I think like maybe at one point it did hurt, and so like I kind of got into the habit of doing that as like a subconscious way of like protecting it and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's been something. And then kind of along those same lines, like I have to be more conscious when I'm warming up too, to make sure I do like both freestyle and backstroke to get my shoulder moving in both directions. That's kind of the main thing with swim. With running, I would say I do have a breathing pattern. I would honestly like to almost get out of that if I can, because I think that in some ways, like, it's a useful technique to have to avoid getting cramps. But I also think that like if I ever want to like talk when I'm running and stuff and like do that kind of thing, it makes it a lot harder to maintain that pattern. So like I would like to be able to and I think I am getting better at like running without having that pattern.
Yeah.
And then a big one with running is stretching afterwards.
Yeah, I need to do
and
that
making
with swim
sure
too.
that with swim too, but for me it's definitely worse with running. I need to make time to stretch afterwards. It's like a big kind of, I don't even know if that counts as like a micro routine or if that's a bigger thing, but like I need to do that, because otherwise like my hips and my knees start to hurt a lot worse. But it's also hard because like you want to stretch while you're still warm. But then like because I run with my friend, we usually end up running at like ending our run at some point between our 2 houses, and then we walk home.
Yeah.
And then like I can stretch when I get home, but a lot of times too, I've been in a rush where it's like, okay, I just have to shower and get ready for like the rest of my day. And so I think that's going to be something this summer that I definitely try and work on, is like whenever you finish your run, like actually stretch and be more intentional about it too. Because sometimes I'll get home and I'll be like, I'll sit on the floor while I like drink some water, and I'll do a little butterfly stretch, or like, you know, I'll touch my toes once or twice.
Yeah.
But like, especially because my knees are a mess, to put it lightly, a lot of times like the other muscles in my legs tense up to like help stabilize my knee. And so like my hamstrings and hips, which then ends up pulling on my lower back, tighten up really easily. So like I just have to be intentional about actually stretching that.
Yeah. So do I, honestly.
Honestly, stretching, everyone can benefit from stretching. Like just do it.
Just stretch. Take the time.
Yeah.
It's worth it at the end of the day.
Yeah. It's hard because those are like, in some ways, they're easier to like skip over.
Yeah.
If you're if you're struggling to set up having a bigger routine, but also sometimes like it's really useful to think about those things when you are kind of like just going through the motions with having a bigger routine. It's nice to have like, okay, what are these little things that I can like do every time and show up and work on and stuff?
Yeah, always. Because it's one practice, one run is not going to like make or break your performance. It's only when all those ones come together is when it impacts that big goal. So whenever you show up to practice or to do a run or whatever, there should always be some sort of like sub goal that you have, right? To like push yourself towards. Like even if it's just, for example, for me, like we have a sprint 50 at the end, I want to hit a certain time or something like that. Like it's just very much like you need to be working on, you need to still have kind of sub goals so that when you're at a practice or at a run, it's not just a turn your brain off and don't focus on anything.
Yeah.
Because there still should be a goal at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like even if fun is the goal, there's a goal there.
Yeah.
It's like have fun, you know, like.
Yeah. And I will say sometimes all you can do is show up and turn off your brain, and that's fine too. But like if that's not what you want it to be, it's important to have these other things, you know? What challenges are you currently facing in your routine and getting to that point? And challenges you're facing and where you want to go?
Well, I'll start with the first one that I was talking about earlier, but that part will get cut out.
Probably,
so I was talking about it earlier and will get cut out. But money, which I have, but not that much of.
Yeah.
So I can't just, kind of willy-nilly start joining every community or club that I want to do certain things. Like, because I want to get outside. I want to start doing more of like a hybrid routine of not necessarily swimming every day, but also kind of having the gym built in, or even like outdoor activities and other things like that, which is what you were talking about earlier. Having that stuff. But the thing is, that stuff isn't free.
Yeah.
Like going on a walk, I can do that. Going on a run, like that's basically free. I mean, you still have to buy like running shoes and whatnot, but basically free.
It's a relatively low investment.
Yeah, it's relatively accessible. Whereas like things like more complicated things like biking, I need to buy a bike. Trying to think of other things like
a gym membership.
Yeah, a gym membership. Something like even if I want to play tennis, like I'll probably need to pay for like membership to a club or something. Like anything that requires some sort of equipment or like membership, that stuff, like it adds up. It's not like I can just throw money, like all the money I have at it. So it's like I do have money, but I'm also saving it for other things. And I think like that, taking that into consideration, it's like that's something that I've been not really struggling with, but just thinking about. Like I haven't struggled with it because I'm still focusing on the swim aspect. So I haven't branched out yet. So I'm good, but it's something I've been thinking about as I've been like, oh, it would be cool to like, get back into playing this and this and this and this. And it's like, well, hold on a second. Because like a lot of these things you can't do by yourself. Yeah. So then you need to find a club or like a membership thing and then pay to join that. And then it's like, well, okay, then think about every single club you've joined, then add up the numbers and you're spending like thousands of dollars potentially.
Yeah. And it's also, I mean, like when you pay for something, you do kind of have to commit to going and getting your money's worth out of it. So it's also 100%. Hard. On the one hand, that is kind of a motivation. But on the other hand, it's like it's a lot more, you really have to assess, like, am I going to do this? Am I going to do it enough that it's worth it? Because then also, if you start doing 4 new things all at once, you're not really going to be able to do, kind of like what I mentioned with having too much variety, you're not going to be able to do any of them enough to really get
good at it. Yeah.
the amount of like value out of it that you're paying for. And I think that's something that I don't have money right now regardless. And I'm also not like, I'm not at a point where I'm like joining clubs yet. But like looking ahead, one of my things this summer that I need to do is like, okay, here's how much I'm going to be making. Here's, especially once like I find a roommate in an apartment, here's how much I'm spending on this stuff. Here's my disposable income.
Budget sheet.
What am I going to prioritize spending money on? Like if I'm going to masters and climbing gym right now, those are the two things that I'm like relatively certain I want to do. But like, I need to look into how much those will cost. If I'm, does it make sense to start with one of them, kind of like how you started with masters, get into a routine with that, and then see how much time I have to do the other thing? Or is it worth it to just go like, no, I really want to do both of these. I'm going to pay for them to give me the motivation to do it. Like there's a hard balance to find there with like, what is it's just a risk assessment basically. Like, is this worth the risk?
Cost benefit analysis.
Yes. It's kind of that weird situation where it's like we can afford, but also like
still want to
put money into savings. You want to be
savings,
like, like
you travel funds, things
exactly.
Like that. I mean, I already know that both of us want to travel more.
Yeah.
So like putting money into that is also equally as important to us. And like there's other things too that we want to do that we want to put money towards. So it's like there's always something, you know. So it's like you really have to weigh that, and that's why I said budget sheet, because that's my thing. And everyone who's listening or watching that knows me knows that I love my budget sheet. So budget sheet.
Yeah. No, like that's
gonna
on
be
my
your
list
best
of
friend.
things to
It's
do
gonna
this
be your
summer
best
is just
friend.
to like, even if I don't end up like 100% sticking to it, just doing some math and figuring out like approximations of like what money do I have to spend where,
Yeah, exactly.
And it sucks that like you have to pay to exercise in so many situations, because like, you can go outside and go for a run, and that's definitely why I want that to be part of my routine, because that is like, actually I probably should buy new running shoes soon, but like
mostly
if you have shoes, you can go,
Yeah.
But so much of the other stuff, like it costs money. And like there's the literal limit of like, can I afford this? And then also I can, but like, should I? And just figuring out exactly how that should be. And that kind of also, I wrote commitment issues on there. That was a large part of it, is like, if I'm spending money on this, am I actually committing to doing this?
Yeah. And the thing too is like swimming in general is just so not accessible. Like it's such a like, it's so not. And like, it's a sport that costs a lot of money. Like if you add up all the things that go into it, if you want to be like very committed and like really into the sport, you need cap and goggles, you need a swimsuit, and you need multiple of them.
Yeah.
Like one usually doesn't do enough.
Yeah.
You need multiple. You need, obviously towels, most people have that.
Yeah.
But then on top of that too, like the membership to a pool, like access to a pool. And then there's always, the added cost of, if you really want to take it seriously, equipment.
Yeah.
Fins, paddles,
snorkel,
a pull buoy, like all that stuff. And then on top of that, tech suits for if you're racing. If you're really taking it seriously with racing. And we talked about those suits are expensive.
Yeah. Like
as expensive as flight tickets.
Yeah.
Like to Europe sometimes.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, it's a lot. And like there are ways, like we said, you don't need a tech suit 100%.
Yeah.
And especially once you're an adult and you're not growing, like that cost does even out a little bit. And like you can wear your suits until they're worn out fully. It's not like you're going to grow out of them in a year. But it's still like, that's a lot more than like even a gym membership is like, it's a recurring fee.
Yeah.
Which I guess is kind of the same as paying for like access to a pool.
It is, yeah.
But like most people have at least something that they can, even if it's not like some super fancy workout outfit. They have some sort of clothing they can wear to a gym already. So I think that is also an important consideration when it comes to building a routine, is like, where are the barriers that are stopping you from building it, and kind of trying to work around those, because like we've gotten kind of lucky in that we grew up with swimming. So like I have my swim bag I've owned since 2011.
Mine is pretty old.
She is
too.
falling apart.
Yours
but it's like
is,
I
yeah,
have
yours
it.
is,
yeah, it's so
yours
rich,
is
guys.
so raggedy.
It's so and I got a new bag a couple years ago.
Okay.
But I never used it. It was smaller, and I like to bring like towels and extra sweatshirts and stuff to meet. So it was like it was never actually big enough for me to end up using it. I think I might have sold it again. And like we grew up with that. We have kind of a backlog of swimsuits from growing up in that. I have my pull buoy from 2009 still.
Yeah, I have all my old equipment too.
Yeah, so it's like,
so
we've been fortunate that because we grew up in that sport, now like when we do want to, you know, join masters or something, there's just the recurring fee, and then if you need new swimsuits, upkeep, equipment kind of cost, like,
right,
which is still, it's still a cost, but it's a lot less than it would be for like getting into an entirely new sport. Like you mentioned with tennis, like if I want to do that, I don't have a tennis racket. I don't have like, I mean, I think you can just wear running shoes, but I know sometimes like they're picky about what shoes you can wear on the tennis court. Like,
tennis balls, need to buy those too.
Exactly. Yeah. Like,
need to find people.
Yeah,
like a club
exactly.
To
like
join.
That
so
always comes up with trying a new activity. I feel like the older you get, the harder it becomes, because like you have to absorb all those costs and make all those decisions and like get all the information about it yourself.
Not have your parents do it.
Exactly.
Yeah, no. Swimming is just not accessible. And like there's a lot of, and this is kind of off topic, but like there's a lot of initiatives that are happening which I think are really cool to get it to become more accessible, kind of like free pool access and things like that. Because swimming is one sport that like, it's not only a sport, it's like a life skill that you need to have.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah.
So like, even if you don't swim competitively, you need to know how to swim, because like going to the beach or going anywhere, like
just general safety. Like you don't want to fall in water and not be able to swim.
Yeah. And then drown because you can't swim. So it's like that in general, like swimming being not accessible is bad for not only just people who want to swim as like a workout, but for kids who like need to know how to swim as like a life skill, because they could drown if they don't, you know, like things like that. So I think like swimming is like in that way even more important. We're both very fortunate that we will be able to access a pool, and we have the funds to do that, both the pool, like the membership to the pool, along with all the equipment and everything that comes with it. Both of us will be able to manage those costs.
Yeah. So. I also think like with climbing too, I already own climbing shoes because those were like a gift from my mom when I started climbing. But like a climbing gym membership, minimum, like I think the cheapest I've usually seen is like $80 a month.
Yeah.
Plus climbing shoes, over $100 typically. Right. Then you also have like chalk and, you know, all of this stuff. And you can rent these when you go, but then that cost also adds up. And like, so yeah, it's just any organized activity. And even that, I mean, that's still an individual activity for the most part, but like anywhere you have to pay to go just makes it harder to like start that in your routine.
Yeah. Very much so. Very much so.
This is just us being like, being an adult is so hard.
Yeah. I mean, it is.
Yeah.
It is hard. And especially like just transitioning too from like we talked about the high school to college transition, and we talked about how that was difficult of them having the freedom like we were the ones kind of dictating when we do this, when do we go, when do we don't, and like our own routines and just how we take care of ourselves. Once you get to like adulthood, and like at least for me, it's transformed from like in college, it was still, I wasn't paying for things. Like my parents were still sending me money and I was using their money, but it's now transitioned to I'm using my own money to pay for things. So that added level of like responsibility is like, well, okay, if I have to pay this much just to do this, do I want to do it? Is it
Yeah.
worth it? You know, like that all comes into play. So yeah,
because like right now
being an adult is really hard.
I have free access. Well, free. It's like you pay tuition, but like because that cost has already been paid, like it's not a monthly thing that I'm thinking like, oh, I've paid this many dollars to go to the gym this month. I have to go this many times to like get that down to a cost where I think that it's worth it. It's just like, oh yeah, I have access to 5 different gyms right now, 2 different pools, a climbing wall, like so much stuff that like you do kind of get used to that and being able to have that built in, like, oh, I feel like doing this kind of workout today. I'll just go here and do that. Yeah. And like, even honestly, just being on a college campus and having like, I feel way safer going for a run alone around a college campus than I would like possibly elsewhere in the city, because it's like, it's all kids my age. There's a ton of people who go out and go for runs. Like just, it's a different environment of like, everyone here is your age. Everyone's kind of doing the same thing. You know, you just have access to so much more automatically just based on the environment that you're in.
Right. And on top of that too, like finding clubs after you graduate is a whole other thing too.
Yeah.
Of like finding something to join.
Yeah. Clubs have dues, but they're way more of like an established thing. And like, again, it's just like everyone's your age. Everyone's kind of going and finding their thing. And like, yeah.
Yeah.
Finishing up, just to bring this all together, is like, why do you have a routine, and how do you make taking care of how does that like make, I'm trying to figure out how to word this exactly. So in our document, we just have making taking care of yourself a priority. How? So I feel like I'm kind of interpreting that as like, why is having a routine important to you? What do you get out of that for like making taking care of yourself a priority, and like how do those kind of relate for you?
Well,
that's a very roundabout, broad question that probably would have been better at the start of the episode, but we can end with it as kind of advice of like importance of having a routine.
Yeah. I'd say that building healthy habits and like having a routine, at least for me, has helped me a lot with in both the physical health space and the mental health space, because I tend to be like someone who's really like, who just is over worrying and just overthinking, and like someone who gets stressed out. And then when I go to the pool, it's like a good space where swimmer calm hits and it's like everything's gone, and then I come back to this world almost. And then it's positive in both ways, because it's like I'm working out and I'm getting like a physical benefit out of it because I'm feeling stronger, and I can see that like some of that definition is coming back, and I feel better. But then at the same time, I'm getting that mental benefit of like, I feel better mentally too. It's like both of those things I get like a benefit out of. And so for me, like having that routine helps with that. And so that also kind of connects to taking care of yourself, because like I said, mental health is better and physical health is better. When that's like, you've hit the jackpot at that point. You know what I mean? Like if you have both of those as like, this is getting better and this is getting better, like why not? Like build a routine. And that this is more so broad as like the macro routine. I mean, for micro routines, for me, it's just kind of a way that I can like focus my energy somewhere. Yeah. Because I feel like a lot of times when I go to the pool, I'm not thinking about life, but there's always thoughts still happening in my head if it's like me reciting a song or like something like that. And for me, like I'd rather almost have that energy kind of in a productive way of like thinking of, okay, well, let me take a breath every 3 instead of every 2, and like not always breathe to the right, So there's like that. I think, I don't really know where I'm going with this, but that is also something that helps. It's not exactly the same as like taking care of myself, but it's a way that I can kind of focus in at practice itself, instead of just having my energy there and present, but not to something. Yeah. So for me, it's just that physical and mental benefit that has made it worthwhile, and that's why I have a routine and I stick to it, and I like to stick to it. What about for you? Like, why do you? I guess you're now transitioning, but why in the fall? Why this whole year, this whole school year, did you have a routine, and how did you navigate that?
I think kind of building off of what you were talking about, it was like a discussion board on Canvas. Building off of that, but can't wait. I never have to do one of those again.
Oh yeah.
But to your point of like, it's really great for your working out is just great. Working out is great for you. Breaking news.
Shocking, guys.
Yeah.
I mean,
but I feel like having a routine, it takes away the like energy of having to like decide to do that. You know, if you have a routine that you can stick to and be consistent with, kind of like what you were talking about earlier with like, you are consistent with swim now. You have that baseline of like, I'm going to go at least 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Once you have that, I feel like it's the importance of a routine specifically to me is like having it be that kind of default that you can go to. And we've talked about this enough before that like, obviously routines change over time. That's where I am right now. Like life changes. It's okay if it's not a forever thing, but for at least periods of time, having that kind of baseline, like it just keeps like having that baseline of this is when I work out in turn keeps your baseline of like, this is where my mental and physical health is at. Right. It makes that higher.
Yeah.
So I think then like you have more, it just frees up more energy like mentally to go do other stuff. Because if you don't have a routine, like I can be like, oh, I want to go work out. I want to go do this. I want to do that. And I can have a great time and get a benefit from that individual workout. But it's so much harder if every time you have to be like, so what do I want to do today? Or like, I want to go work out. Let me make time for it in my schedule. Like already having that just built in of like, no, this is when I go do this.
Right. Yeah.
And especially I think for me, like having an accountability partner is really great for helping with that. Or just like having, again, just physically having it on my schedule.
Yeah.
It just makes my baseline mental, physical health so much higher.
Yeah. That's what I was trying to say, but didn't say well.
But I got that from what you were saying. And then I was like that's how I feel.
Yeah. I was just trying to say that like, because I kind of answered it more generally and didn't really kind of touch on the routine part of it, but that's like working out in general benefits physical and mental, but then having the routine built in makes that even more.
Yeah.
Because it forces you to keep doing it in a way. And it forces you, it's in a good way. It forces you because it's like you now have in your head, this is the time I'm doing it. Like for me, work, swim, work. It's like very much that like it's ingrained in me now that it's like the day doesn't end after work. There is still that swim. Yeah. Like it's so built in that it's like you don't even question it and you're just like, okay, now it's time to swim.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think for me too, one thing that I'm looking forward to about building a routine that I think will help with is that like right now I do have motivation to try out some like new forms of exercise and like I want to do this, I want to do this. And I think building a routine, even if again they don't end up in my like final routine, big air quotes around that, like having the motivation to think of like what could my routine be and like let me try out these different forms of exercise, see if they fit into that. Yeah, it's not easier, but I think to me it's more fun to like almost, this sounds weird, it's almost kind of more fun to like pretend to commit to something and be like, this is my new routine and like try something out, rather than just being like, oh, I'm just gonna go try that one time. Even if it does end up just being like, okay, you tried that, it didn't end up working out, I don't really know where I'm going with this. I'm kind of like word vomiting just what's in my head right now. But like maybe this is just I like schedules and routine.
I think both of us do.
I love like coming up with that and the process of like, like I said, where I am right now, I'm excited about like, oh, I can do, you know, okay, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'll do this. And then Tuesday, Thursday, I'll go try this. And then on the weekend, I can do this. And that's probably too much. It's probably not actually going to end up being that because I want to do other stuff in my life.
Because rest days too.
Exactly. Yeah. But like, it's exciting to think about that, I guess.
Yeah.
And like, I think to me,
the possibilities,
bringing it full circle, like that excitement of coming up with a routine kind of helps me build motivation and get out of like, if I am feeling burnt out or I'm in a rut or right now, like things are very overwhelming. The idea of coming up with a routine, having some of that consistency and getting to like, oh, I've been excited to try this for a while. What could that look like if it's built into my routine? I think that is also very fun for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't really have anything else to add. You nailed it.
I feel like that.
Yeah,
I feel like that's a positive note to end it on. You know?
Yeah. This is going to be a bit of a longer episode.
Yeah, but that's okay. Season finale.
Congrats to all you viewers and listeners for making it this far.
Thank you.
Thank you. And congratulations to you guys for making it all the way here with us.
Yeah, we greatly appreciate you guys taking the time to listen or watch or both.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of fun doing this so far. There's been a learning curve to it, but like
100%.
We've had
with our first episode,
the fourth episode or the fifth, whenever
it was the fourth episode.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. So it's been really great. I feel like honestly, it's just been nice having these conversations. Like it's forced me to think about stuff more. Like some of the stuff that we've talked about, I'm like, I haven't actually thought about this before.
Yeah.
And it actually forced me to like think about it, which has been really good. Like it's been really fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think I just overthink. So I feel like I have thought about a lot of this stuff. But
I think about it a lot, but if I don't say it out loud, I just kind of go in circles.
Right.
You know,
like I've never vocalized.
Exactly. I think this has made my thoughts more productive on it.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah. It's been fun. It's been a lot of, I'm really going to miss filming it in person.
I know.
Yeah. So that's the sad part is we're not going to be seeing each other every couple weeks or whatever.
But we will still, at least over video call, which is like, honestly, probably more than we would do if we didn't have this podcast because we're both busy.
Right.
So this will keep us seeing each other more frequently.
You're right about the part that like it'd probably be dead silence for a while.
Well,
as in
I'm bad at texting people.
Yeah, as in you are, because I do. Yeah. I do text you, but
I respond.
But I don't. The thing is, like, we wouldn't. I don't know how often we would have like called. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we would have texted probably, but we wouldn't have been like face to face on a call.
Exactly.
So yeah, I'm excited to see where this goes for season 2. I mean, we're getting some cool guests for season 2.
Yeah.
New ideas. We'll be keeping it fresh, and yeah, so I'm very excited for season 2.
Yeah, it'll be good.
It'll be great. Yeah. So all of you guys tune in for season 2.
Are you? Wow. Do you want to do our final wrap up for season 1?
Wow, this is sad. This is sad, even though I know that we're coming back for season 2. It's sad because like you're moving, so it's like I don't. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll do our final wrap up.
All right.
Well, thank you everybody once again for making it to episode 10, for listening, for watching, for supporting. We appreciate it. We've had a lot of fun, and we're excited to keep going, even though we have a bit of a break, a nice 3.5 months, something like that. We'll be back in August. So in the meantime, subscribe to our YouTube, follow us on Instagram at Take Your Mark Pod, comment, follow us on Spotify. You can DM us. We'll see your DMs. And then on top of that, keep an eye out for other content that will be coming out, such as a blooper reel, potentially some other travel content, some other workout content, Emmy's Day in the Life.
It's day in the life of a like college student as a no longer college student. It'll be great.
Yeah. So there will be content coming from us. I just putting that out there. So keep an eye out for that. And I think I have covered it all. I'm getting better at this. Doing this outro. So I'll take it. It only took one season. It only took 10 episodes to get here, but here we are. So thank you all again. And we won't be seeing you in 2 weeks. We'll see you in 3.5 months.
3-ish months.
We'll see you in 3.5 months. Bye.
Bye.